Welcome everyone to this discussion, Growth Talks. I'd like to thank everybody who took their time, who got here early, and those that are on the way. We are so excited to have you here. And I would like to particularly thank Star and Blanca for availing their time and coming to talk to us. But before we start, I know that most of us are aware that we recently lost one of us, Steve Musi, and I would just like us to take a moment and honor him. So if you could just take a moment to honor him. May his soul rest in peace. Steve was a young man who was beloved by many in our community. He donated his time to a lot of the community programs that helped advance the Rwandan youth here in Canada, especially in Ottawa, as well as in Rwanda, where he partnered with organizations like our PASS initiative to build houses for genocide survivors. So he will be missed, both for his actions and the light that he brought in in his friends and to whoever met him. So we will miss him dearly. With that, that's one of the reasons why we're here, because as we said, Growth Talks is about learning how to build habits that enable us to grow as human beings, to share our lives, to be truly ourselves. That's the reason why these two young men are here. And before we get into it, I actually, fun fact, I was following both of them on Instagram, and I was curious because they shared that they had a podcast and everything, but I was like, I would love to interact. So I'm so glad that we brought you on board today. And I want to encourage everyone who's here. I know some of us are shy, but if you can, please type your questions in the Q&A section. At any point, if you have a question during the presentation, I know they will want to engage with us as much as they can. So without further ado, please introduce yourselves and tell us what Growth Talks are, and take it away.
Awesome. Nadia, thank you so much. And before I get started, I want to just, as people are coming in, I want to start by thanking everyone for giving us this space and your time. It's a Thursday evening. I know people are getting off work and getting ready for the weekend already, but we do appreciate you taking time out of your evening to be with us. And we are extremely excited to be here as well. So I go by the name of Alistair Muhide, but people call me Stir. I'll further introduce myself in a bit, but I also wanted to thank CARY Toronto a great deal for allowing us to do this. I've been a part of some of their initiatives in the past, and I'm sad that I haven't done enough more than I should have, but it's been an incredible, very welcoming community. I also had a stint doing some things with CARY in Ottawa. So I'm really just grateful for this opportunity to be here with my business partner. Being Black men, but also being men from Rwanda, it's an incredible opportunity to just give back. And as you mentioned, Nadia, Steve Musi, the angel that we lost, he was someone that I actually had an opportunity to speak with not long ago while I was visiting Ottawa. And it's funny, we were talking about a lot of the stuff he wants to do to give back to the youth in particular. And, it's unfortunate he's not here, but I know that through the work that we're trying to do, we will definitely carry his name and just try to create happiness through growth like we do. So just to kind of also maybe some ground rules, Nadia mentioned questions. We're not going to have a chance to interact. Usually these growth talks are done in person, so we like to see people and obviously hear their voice. But in this case, first of all, put your cameras on. I promise we're not going to bite. We'd love to see you and interact with you that way. But there is going to be a chance for you to to pose your questions throughout. We will have some time at the end as well. But I would say, if there's anything, and maybe Nadia will help us or whoever else is going to be moderating, if there's a question that we really need to answer right there and then, we're happy to do that as well. Before we do that, I'm going to come back to you guys so you can see my face. Another thing that I wanted to say really quickly is there's going to be an opportunity, like I said, at the end to speak, or sorry, to ask your questions. If your question is not answered for any reason, we'll make sure to stay connected. We'll give you guys our info so that you can stay connected with us on our platforms or on a personal level. We'll be happy to do that for you guys as well. So I'm going to let Blanca actually take over for a bit, and then I'll come back and introduce myself further. But again, thank you guys so much for being here. As people pop in, you know, turn your camera on. We'll see. We want to see your faces, and we'll have a good presentation. Thank you.
Okay. I hope everybody is doing good. Hope you guys enjoyed your Thursday. I hope nobody got rained on. I almost got rained on, but I was lucky and I made it out. Let me share our screen. Let me know if you can see us at the same time.
Yeah, maybe just a thumbs up from everyone once we get it.
So are you able to see us? Or you can just see the screen?
We can see on the screen.
Perfect. How about the screen?
Yeah, we can see the screen clearly.
You can see the screen and you can see us?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're not going to be able to see the comments or the chat. So if there is any questions or anything, just make sure to let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I'm Blanca. Me and Stir, we started Continual Growth probably back in 2017. I'll tell you a little bit about myself because it's kind of important to know. So growing up as a youth, I know we're talking to some youths, but as a youth, as a kid, I was a terrible kid. I was a terrible student. And where that landed me was I worked labor jobs. So from the age of 19, 20 to about 28, 30 years old, all I did was labor jobs. And it's because I didn't pay attention in school. And that's what it left me with. All I cared about was sports. And at the end of the day, you know, sports can only take you so far. And then you got to use the skills that you have to kind of keep you moving forward. So I worked a lot of I worked on assembly lines. I worked in warehouses throwing tires. I went to Alberta, worked on oil rigs. All of these were just back-breaking jobs. And I was doing it because that's what the skills that I had built were able to do for me. And it wasn't until I moved to Toronto about 8 years ago where I decided, you know what, maybe I'm gonna leave the labor force. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna try some things out, right? So I became a personal trainer. I was a personal trainer for about 3 years. And with personal training, I was able to see wow, this is you're able to help people, and helping people is one of the greatest feelings that there is. So I got a lot from that. And what that led me to was it led me to a sales role, as a personal trainer sales role. And then from there, it just wanted more. And that's when we started Continual Growth. And with Continual Growth, we were able to help people. So what we do is we have a podcast. We also do something called growth coaching, which is similar to life coaching. But with our clients, we're trying to help them get to their goals as fast as possible. And around that same time, that's when I kind of started working on myself and building better habits. And we're going to talk a lot more about habits and how they help you. And yeah, now my life has completely changed. I no longer work backbreaking jobs. I'm actually also a real estate agent.
He wears a suit to work every day.
Yeah, I wear a suit. Definitely life has changed. But yeah, that's a little bit about me, and you'll find out a little bit more as we go on. But now let me bring Stir for you guys to talk to.
Amazing. Okay, and just before I continue, everybody can hear us still. We can't see your comments, so that's why I keep asking. As long as you guys can hear us, we'll continue further.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. So a little bit about myself. So Stir is what I go by. My full name is Alistair Muhide. Stir just stuck since I was in high school. But what I want to kind of explain to you guys about the way I am, why I am the way I am now, is sort of three things that I'll highlight. Number one being my entire life, you know, and a lot of people can relate to this. I've been helped in one form or another, whether it's financially, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. There's always been something or someone to provide help, and you know, I've never taken that for granted. So as a result, being in this space now as a coach, I see it. I see why I'm in this space, and it makes sense. That's one reason. A second reason, you know, I do what I do now, and even just being, I would say, the character that I am as a man, I think a lot of it stemmed from my relationship with sports. I grew up playing sports. That's actually how Blanca and I met as kids, and we played basketball throughout high school. And that just gave me the ability to work with people, obviously, and work towards a shared goal with people. Whether it's one-on-one, whether it's a group of people, whether it's my friends, whether it's in business, that played a tremendous part. And then lastly, I think is the biggest one. And for those of you who are on this call who may know me personally, will get it and see it more. But I grew up, there was a time in my life from the age 7 to 10 where I lived in Kigali, in Rwanda. It was a difficult time, but I think as a young boy, all I wanted to do was play and run around. So I had a great experience, but in that moment, I found myself living amongst women and only women at that time. And so, you know, what I do now for work, it involves a lot of connection, a lot of communication. And I owe a lot of my ability to do that today to that time, because that's where I learned vulnerability. That's where I learned how to show who I am in order to connect with others. And it played a huge role in my life because I moved so much as a kid, different cities, sometimes different countries, different neighborhoods, schools. I could have been one of two different kids, right? Kid number one, who was antisocial and, you know, maybe wasn't able to make friends easily everywhere he went, or kid number two, who was the opposite and was able to be welcoming and approachable and make friends where he went. And that's who I became, and I'm extremely grateful for that opportunity. So that really kind of hopefully makes you understand why I am the way I am today. And it's something that I don't take for granted. None of us, you know, take for granted being in this position, coming from where we come from. So that's a little bit about me. You know, you'll, like Blanca said, you'll get to kind of learn more about myself as we go through this discussion. One other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't at the beginning. So these growth talks, like I said, are typically in person, and they're designed as presentations / discussions or workshops. We do like to do a lot of hands-on stuff typically, but today you're going to hear us talk a lot, so bear with us. But you know, we'll try to do our best to decipher what we're trying to share today. So on to the next slide with Blanca.
Okay, so is there any questions so far?
No.
No? Okay, perfect. Okay, so 45% of your life is habit or is driven, and habits run your life, right? So basically, half of what you're doing every single day is happening by habit. Some of them are good habits, some of them are bad habits, right? So a good habit is something like brush your teeth. You know, you're getting ready for bed, it's nighttime. You don't really have to think too much about it. Grab your toothbrush, put the toothpaste on, brush your teeth. Another one is tying your shoes, right? Like you don't have to put much time, effort, energy into it. But there's a lot of other things that like you want to do, and when you decide, when you say like, hey, I want to do this, I want this to become a part of my life, now that's going to be willpower. You're working with willpower until you've done it so many times that it becomes a habit. So for me, when I heard this quote and when I found out about this, I said like, you know what, like where I am right now, and like I told you guys before, like I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the skills that I needed. Like I didn't go to university. So even like for me, reading was very difficult. Like I would start at the beginning of the page, I would read to the bottom, and then I'll be like, what did I just read? And I have to go back to the top. And one of the reasons was I was not good at focusing. So one of the habits that I decided to build was meditation, because when you meditate, it helps a lot with your focus. And then when you can focus, you can read better. And when you can read better, you can learn more. And there's just so many things that come from it. And we're going to get into it a little bit more about how it kind of works. But yeah, the first 21 or first habit that I built was was meditation. From there, it went to reading. And then you just keep adding on, but you take it one step at a time. And that's one of the most important things. So once you know that your life is really driven by your habits, now all you have to do is start working on the habits, whether it's getting rid of bad habits or whether it's building good habits. And that's going to kind of take you or help you become that person that it is that you want to be. So I'm going to bring back Stuart to talk about why habits.
Yeah, thanks, Wonka. That was a great job of kind of highlighting the importance of habits, obviously, and what their use in our life. So 45%, that's a big percentage. That's like, half of everything you do. It's automatic. It's the things you don't even have to think about that you do. And I want to share like a quick story about how I was introduced to habits or reintroduced to habits, because, all of us have good and bad habits, whether we like it or not. But it was a moment in my life, I call it the wake-up call. It's, as corny as that may sound, it was a moment when actually Wonka called me and challenged me and asked me what my goals were. And at that time, I was in like defensive mode. I was like, oh yeah, here are the goals that I have. And I listed out a bunch of vague goals that were definitely not concrete. So he challenged me to create some goals. And then we spoke like a week after that. But the key in it was when I finally shared what my goals were with him, he was like, okay, these are great, whatever. And at that time I was like, now what? What do I do? I didn't really know what was the next step. And that's when he introduced me to habits. So, it's titled here, The Secret Sauce to Achieving Your Goals. And we say that because it's as if, it's the fundamentals, it's the foundation. Without habits, let's use this analogy. I like doing this, by the way. I'm nerdy in that way. It helps me understand things. But the habits are the fuel that keep the engine going, so to speak. So it's what you need to start with as the foundation. It also gets you going. So for me, there's a quote that I'm going to share that helped me understand the importance of it for me, and it goes, bad habits are easy to form but hard to live with, whereas good habits are hard to form but easy to live with. I'll say it one more time. It might be like a bit of a tongue twister, and it's by Brian Tracy, who shared this. So again, it's bad habits, we all have them, very easy to form but hard to live with. And then on the flip side, good habits, hard to form but easy to live with. And that stuck with me because you hear this all the time. It's a cliche, but everything worth having, or everything that we feel like we want to have, is on the other side of hard. And habits help you get from that side to the next. And we're going to talk about that bridge and the gap, and how, this is you being here, your habits being that bridge, and then, your best life being on the other side of it. So that's what the habits are. We're going to talk more about, you may have heard Wonka mention 21s, and that is the ultimate habit building machine. So we'll get to that in a second. But without further ado, there is a clip. So hopefully the volume will be good for everybody. We're going to share a quick YouTube clip that you'll notice habits, or that's the point of it. We want you guys to notice the habits or the things on both sides of the screens. And before I do it, when you think about habits, at least for me, when I first thought about it, it's routine. It's about routine. And a lot of our routines, a lot of people start with morning routines. And this is going to be an introduction to that, because the morning is one of the most important times for us to set the tone for the day. A lot of us in this day and age, social media takes so much of our attention. We either go to sleep on our phones and wake up on our phones, and it's tough. So building a morning routine with good, healthy habits can help you kind of overcome that and start living a more purposeful life. So that being said, we're going to play this clip for you, and then Wonka will come back to discuss, exit this. So maybe if I can get someone to let me know if you can hear it first. Does it sound good before we continue?
Yes, it sounds good.
Good? Okay.
Yes.
La soupe est froide.
Thank you. How's the morning going? It's all right. You want me to hold the elevator? No, it's okay. You sure? Yeah, it's fine. All right, see you later.
I'm going to bold statement and say that doing a TEDx talk is going to be the
Sorry, guys.
Hold on. Okay, so I guess we can see the chat now. What did people notice while they're watching that video? You could just write it in the chat.
As everybody's writing in the chat, you know, if they're shy to start, I will start. I noticed that personally, I'm probably on the other end of the spectrum. Some of them feel attacked. There you go. Working from home, you know, many of us are doing the 5 minutes before start of, you know, the work day. And yeah, great habits help create ease in your life for sure. Again, everybody's feeling attacked, and it's an alright feeling to have. Okay.
Okay, no worries. So the reason that we show this video, I know some people are feeling attacked. I promise you, I used to love sleep. I was addicted to sleep. When the alarm would go off, I would press snooze, press it again, press it again, press it again. I would just keep pressing it until I had to get off. So it's like it happens to pretty much almost everybody, and it's not until you decide that you want to start working on those things or whatever habit it is that you want to build, because the morning, like it says, the mornings are key, and that's a time where you have full control. And really, the world is not going to be pulling you. The later in the day that you go, the more the world is going to be pulling you, right? So if you wake up 5 minutes before work, 5 minutes after you wake up, you're getting pulled by work right away. Whereas if you wake up half an hour earlier, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. Some people, maybe you want to exercise for 10 minutes. Maybe you want to shower before work. Maybe you want to do some meditation for 10 minutes. You want to read for 5 or 10 minutes. Whatever it is, the morning is a really good time for you to be able to kind of work on whatever habit it is that you want to work on. And like this takes a while, but we always say to just start small and just start with one. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to talk about is bridging the gap. I'm going to bring up Stir, and he'll tell you a little bit more about this.
Yeah. So again, for those of you feeling attacked, that wasn't the intent. It is definitely to kind of, it's a wake-up call in a sense too, to check yourself, because I do understand people have different styles of even sleeping, or people are night owls or this and that. But you know, the real point in that is to understand that we do have to protect and defend our time. So whether it's the last hour of your night or the first hour of the morning, finding ways to protect that for you so that you can set the tone for your day. And I'm saying this from experience. For example, most times, you know, before I really started building habits and working towards my goals, I would wake up and first thing I look at is my phone, right? My vice is Instagram. So I'd scroll and whatnot. And some days I'd wake up in the winter in particular and see someone who's on the beach somewhere else. Right away, I get FOMO, and that sets the tone for my day. So in order to kind of take control of that, that's why we highlighted the morning, to show you guys the significance and the difference in when you have healthy habits and not.
And another thing too is, like, we're not perfect, and we're not saying we're perfect, and this is not how every single morning goes. But this is the goal, and the goal is like to try to make the majority of mornings like that.
Yeah, and like I was saying to you guys before, I one of the habits I started. So I love to write. I do some poetry. I might actually have a surprise for you guys towards the end. But that was one of my first habits that I started building. And I remember there was a point, and we're going to talk about the 21s board, which is the method that we use to build habits. But there was a point where you start building momentum. And there was a time where you also feel like you just don't want to ever do this again. But it's really kind of pushing through that. And habits become your superpower in that sense. They become what you use to get through these moments in our life where we don't want to do things, or we start but we don't finish, and that sort of thing. So yeah, the key, like it says here, the key is sticking with it and not giving up, being resilient as we are as humans, and showing up for yourself. Your habits will do the work. So
yeah, one thing I would say for sure is, like, it's not easy. It's not easy. And like we've all tried before and we've all failed before. And failure is a part of the process. So you have to be okay with that. You know, whatever it is you're going to start. For me, like I told you, meditation was the first thing for me. So I love Monday. Mondays, let me start on Monday. So the first Monday I tried, I did Monday. I felt good. I did Tuesday. I felt good. I did Wednesday. I felt good. Thursday came, done. The whole week, done. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me try again next Monday. So Monday comes. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This time Thursday came, I got it. Friday, back to zero. I'm like, okay, let me try again. The next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I kept going. And I was at like 14 days. There's a whole tracking, but we'll talk to you about that in a bit. But I was at 14 days, and I remember I was not a morning person at this time, but I had to wake up early to be able to do my meditation, and also I had to start work early that day. So I knew if I didn't make it happen in the morning, I'm not going to make it happen in the evening, and I'm going to have to start over again, and I didn't want to do that. So I got up earlier than I would normally get up, and it was very difficult for me to get up, and I did my meditation, whatever, got through everything, and I got to work a little bit early. And I remember I thought to myself, like, this has actually become important to me. Like I changed my sleeping pattern to be able to do meditation. So now it became something that was important to me. And from there, I was able to just keep doing it every single day. It became part of my life. I did 980 days in a row. And from there, now I do probably 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a week. But it's something that's like very, very important to me. But it took time and it took failure to be able to get there.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I think just to finish with this slide, it's the importance of starting slow and setting the bar low enough for you to meet it and then surpass it is key, because we always want to go from 0 to 100. But as he mentioned, there's times where it's not going to work. And the other thing is you're getting reps, right? You're getting more repetition when you do end up maybe going 4 days in a row and missing, or 7 days in a row and missing. Getting back on it, you should look at, obviously, it sucks that you couldn't keep going, but the other way you should look at it is, oh, I got some extra reps in, and now moving forward, you're better for it. You just have more practice. So I think that's also an important part. One thing I wanted to mention too about Blanca. So he gave the example, I forget what example you gave for what habit he was building. Meditation. But there's he's here speaking right now and presenting, and I just want to share one story about, there's a time in my life where we lived together. And he was a man of very few words. We could go a whole day and you could say maybe like 10, 15 words the entire day. And just, that's the kind of the man he was at the time. But now, we mentioned it earlier, we host a podcast. He also works in real estate, so he has to be a very, communicative person. And it's just impressive to me because of the habits he started building for him to keep him that way. Because, he could have easily just fell back into your ways. So that's something else I wanted to highlight about what it's been able to do for us. All right, next slide. Oh, and sorry, before we go, Nadia, any questions? Let me see what's going on in the chat here.
No questions so far. A lot of us are relating, but I have a question.
Sure.
A lot of us have tried to start new habits like going to the gym or meditating or practicing yoga, but then fall, as you said, fall back. And there's that sense of guilt that sometimes actually presses you down and keeps you from restarting again. You're like, I know I failed before. How do you overcome that if it's ever happened to you?
Yeah, this is really, really good. And this happens to so many people. And the biggest thing is what we talked about before, starting small. So the gym is probably one of the hardest disciplines that there is. So the gym, yoga, whatever it is, everything that what we're going to show you of what to start with, you always want to start with something that takes 10 minutes or less. And the reason being is because if it takes 10 minutes or less, it's a lot easier to do. It's not putting a huge strain on your body. But once you get good at that thing that takes 10 minutes, like for me, it was meditation. Once you get good at that, now you start believing in yourself more, and you say, like, you know what, like I'm able to do this. And then it's gonna kind of come back to the mindset, right, of consistency, self-awareness, and keeping it real. And so with the consistency, this is probably like one of the most important. We always say like consistency over everything. So the gym is hard. I was a personal trainer before. Like even for me, like I've been active almost my whole life, and it's still hard. But I've seen so many people start, and I've seen so many people fail. And the biggest thing is always when you do start, you're like, I'm gonna go 4 times a week. I'm gonna go 5 times a week. I'm gonna do the hardest workout. And you just start going, and the first week you do 5 times, the second week you do 5 times, you feel good. The third week you do 4 times, the next week you do 3 times, and then you're not feeling good. Maybe you're feeling sick, and then you miss a whole entire week, and then you go on vacation, and then you come back, and you're like, nah, I'm done. So that's almost always how it goes. So consistency is the most important thing, but consistency doesn't mean 7 times a week. Consistency could mean 1 time a week. Consistency could mean 1 time a month. So with fitness, I always recommend starting with 1 or 2 days maximum. And you get good at that for a month, 2 months. If you can do 1 or 2 days for 2 months, now you add another day. So day 3. And you do that for another 3 months. And once you've proven to yourself that you can do that, you add a little bit more. So that's kind of what I would say about fitness. But I would say don't start with fitness because it's so hard. Like it's one of the biggest disciplines that there is. Start with something that takes 2 minutes. And a lot of times you'd be like, oh, that's too easy. 2 minutes, I'm not doing it. Prove to yourself that you can do it and then move on.
Yeah, a good one, by the way, for like 2 minutes or less is like making your bed. That used to be one of my bad habits. But I want to come back, Nadia, to maybe further answer your question about when you're stuck or you're trying to build a habit and you're in a slump. Or I think self-awareness is huge, which is actually the next point here, because of reflection. So it's also it's important to understand what categories in your life you're setting goals for. We do that a lot here when we start working with our clients because at least for myself growing up, a lot of times goals were either they were money goal, financial goals, or maybe work related or school, and it didn't really go beyond that. So I think finding out those categories in your life that you want to actually set some goals in and prioritizing them will bring you back to understanding why it's important to build habits. But then the other thing is reflection. So I'm going to paint a quick picture because I think self-awareness is really important, and it's really about understanding yourself, where you're at and where you need to go. And I think reflection helps that. I once heard that reflection is the antidote to being busy, right? Because we love being busy. Everybody's busy, busy, busy. I'm busy being busy. And so I think when you have a chance to reflect, and I'll paint the picture in this way, imagine yourself building, your foundation, your house, brick by brick by brick. When you're building this foundation, at times there are moments where things happen in life. Maybe you lose a job, or something happens in your life, some type of adversity, and that cracks that brick that we're building, that we're using to build. Instead of kind of facing that crack and looking at it and analyzing it, we just continue to build on top. That's what we're go and do more. That's the kind of society we live in. And the problem with that is you'll get to a certain point on top of this on these blocks where that crack that you once had that you left unchecked won't be stable enough. It won't hold your foundation and everything comes crashing down. So to avoid that, self-awareness is a must and it doesn't mean every day you have to reflect, although I would highly recommend it, but maybe once a week, maybe once or twice a month, where you're just checking in with yourself to see if my priorities are straight. And there's different forms of doing this, which, if there are people who want to find out more, we can talk about it later or at another time, but self-awareness is a must. And I hope that kind of answers your question, Nadia, about falling into those slumps. I think we have to check ourselves.
Yeah. So consistency over everything. Self-awareness is a must, and you always got to keep it real. So I'm gonna stick with the fitness one. So keeping it real means asking yourself, wow, what happens every time? And this comes back to what Stur was saying about reflection. What happens every time I start my fitness journey? And you're probably going to see the same thing is happening almost every single time. So then it becomes like you have to be self-aware, and you have to say like, okay, you know what? I've been trying my way for so long and my way is not working. So you know, like we're experiencing this and we're letting you know, you have to start small. That is the key. Even if it's only like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it doesn't matter. Like you start small because like Stir said, you're going to be able to build on it, right? So it's not about trying to exercise and do the hardest workout for 5 days a week and the most weight and your body is just aching all the time, because you're not going to be able to stick with it. It's about starting small with something like making your bed. Like I never used to make my bed. It didn't make sense to me. Why would I make my bed when I'm going to go back and sleep in it? It didn't make any sense to me. But there was a time where I said, like, it actually made sense to me. Okay, make your bed. There's even a book called Make Your Bed. I've read it. It's pretty good. But what they talk about in that book is, if you make your bed, that's one thing that you've achieved in the day. So no matter how bad your day goes, at least you can come back and you said, like, at least I did something for me. Yes. And what even comes from that is once you start making your bed, now you have respect for your bed. And then it's going to go out to your room and you're going to start tidying up your room more. And then from your room, it can go into your living space. It can go into your car. It's going to grow, right? And it just happens with consistency. Is there any more questions?
Yes, there's actually a couple questions that came in. The first one was from Remy. It might have been partially answered. He said, how do you deal with finding reasons not to do the good habits? For example, saying, oh, I'm busy with this or that, or I will catch up next time. How do you deal with that? And the second question from Jamie was saying, how do you best keep track of forming your habit and sticking to goals? Good questions. So
okay,
which one?
What was the first one again?
The first one was, how do you deal with finding reasons not to do the good habits, or I guess not to continue with the good habits?
Yeah. So what I would say for sure is if you're looking for reasons not to do it, you're gonna find whatever you look for. If you look for reasons not to do it, you'll find a million. But if you look for reasons to do it, then you're gonna find more, and that's what's gonna kind of motivate you and make you want to do it. So I would say it's kind of, your mindset is very important. That's what we were talking about before. So it's kind of flipping your mindset from looking at like the negatives or the reasons you don't want to do it, to start looking at the positives and the reasons that you do want to do it.
Yeah, and to add to that, Remy, I think what we resist persists. So the more you resist that, the more it's going to show up as as let's call it like a racket in your life, like something that you don't want to happen. Although you're resisting doing the right thing, it's going to persist. So, and there's payoffs for that. There's probably a reason why you're doing that. There's a payoff for you. It makes you either feel like validated or whatever. But the cost to doing that should weigh more than that, right? It should probably, it's affecting your well-being or whatever that habit or racket might be doing. So avoiding it definitely is going to, it's not going to help. I think you would lean into it more, and there's ways to do that easier so that it doesn't feel like an overwhelming process.
Mm-hmm. And then for the second question, what we have is we have tools, a 21s board and a high performance matrix. And after this slide right here, we're actually going to get into those tools to show you how to be able to create habits and also how to be able to maintain them.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that after that slide. Those are great questions. I'll keep it moving along here. So again, coming back to foundational, I think pillars that we teach and that we practice at Continual Growth. Mindfulness being one that Wonka mentioned a lot, in terms of meditation. I feel like this is like fitness for the brain. And, I want you guys to bear with me again. I'm going to shoot out some more stats and some nerdy stuff, so stick with me. But it's really important to understand this because our minds are obviously extremely powerful and dictate and impact, our everyday lives. So meditation and mindfulness. Another area in my life that I wasn't very open to until I started kind of doing this work. But what I realized when I went further into doing research is how many thoughts we actually have. And so the average human has anywhere from 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And that's just the average. I'm sure there's a bunch of overthinkers in here. I'm one of those. So 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. But the crazy part about it is 90% of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts are from the day before, usually. And that's crazy, right? Because you're recycling the same shit pardon my French, every day. And then crazier than that is 80% of those 90% thoughts are normally negative. And you guys might be like, what? Like, that's crazy. I'm not that negative. But it's little things that we don't even account for, like blaming the weather. Oh, it rained today, like, right? Like we said earlier, or like traffic, or this person is walking too slow, whatever it is. We do this without even knowing it. So the point in sharing that about mindfulness is it's important to be aware of that, because we worry about the wrong things typically. And that's usually things that haven't happened yet or things that already happened. So when we talk about mindfulness, it's really about being here, about being in the moment, about not worrying about what is to come or what already happened. So I think that's what I would share about mindfulness. So movement.
Yeah. So movement, like I told you guys, I used to be a personal trainer. I would say movement is a little bit easier for me. The only reason it's because I've been consistent with it for a really long time. And I also understand how much it helps me, right? Like if I go days without doing any sort of physical activity, like I can start to feel my body. I don't feel as strong. I don't have as much energy. So that's why it's something that's very important to me. And another thing that's really important is finding what works for you and finding what you enjoy. Don't think, hey, people say you have to go to the gym, so I have to go to the gym. Find what you enjoy. If you like playing basketball, play basketball. If you like playing soccer, play soccer. If you like jumping rope, jump rope. If you like running, run. Whatever it is, just all of the most important thing is to make sure that you keep moving.
Yeah.
So there's a 76-year-old man. This guy's from Jamaica. I see him like once a week, and this guy, he's in amazing shape. He does pull-ups, he does walking, he does jumping jacks, push-ups, everything. So I would see him like every single week, even in the winter time, because we were out there during COVID, nowhere to work out. So I would see him, and I would say to him like, man, how do you do this? Like the strength that he has, it doesn't make sense for a 76-year-old. Like I thought 76-year-olds are supposed to be like with a cane and a walker. And he said, just keep doing it. That's all it is. So for him, he said it's like medicine for him. And it's just about like, doesn't matter what it is, just stay consistent and just keep moving. I don't care. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Do what you want to do, but just move. Even if you're walking, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, first of all, I know there's a lot of information that's coming at you guys, but it's also to understand, and maybe we didn't mention it, but a lot of this is stuff that you have to, because you get to a point where you learn new information, right? And you absorb it. That gives you a new awareness. And then you move to the next part about, okay, what decisions am I going to make now based on this new awareness? And that's where a lot of people get stuck because of the inconsistency. So a lot of this that we're sharing with you, we're not here saying like, go do this right now, tomorrow, next thing. But to understand that is there's a gap there from learning something new and actually applying it consistently, and to be aware of that, but to also know that, run your race at your pace. So with the fitness stuff, like you were saying, you don't have to do all these things, but you have to do what's right for you and listen to your body. Last thing, learn something new. So I'll be quick on this one. It really, to me, when I read this, it talks to me about confidence. For me, in my case, or even this, when you hear the term, when's the last time you did something for the first time? And for me, it's scary sometimes because like, I don't want to do what I'm not used to. And for me, that was swimming in my life. And it was something I had spent like maybe 24 years before I could actually overcome the idea of swimming. But for me, it was about, I went beyond just the act of swimming and went to, okay, what is this going to do for my mind and my confidence and the fear that I have to deal with in everyday life? And it allowed me to just lean into it, to understand that here's something I have no idea about. I need to be open to it and accept failure as just information, because that's what failure is. It's just information for you to now, succeed in whatever it is that you're doing. So learning something new, I think, is obviously you getting out of your comfort zone. I actually encourage anybody who's going to leave today and make your new goals, which I hope it's everyone, to add something that's like doing something out of your comfort zone every month, because I promise you it's going to change and translate to other things in your life. So we're going to get to the tools now.
Okay, so the ancient rule of 21. If you do anything for 21 days in a row, it will be installed as a habit. This is by Robin Sharma. He's the author, thought leader. He has great books. but we're going to talk about the 21s board right now. Okay, so this is the 21s board. It's the ultimate habit building machine. Okay, so one of the most important things when building habits is tracking them. Okay, so with this, it comes with stickies on the back. You put it on your wall, and then you decide whatever it is that you want to do. Okay, so let's say meditation. So it comes also with an erasable marker, and you're going to write here, for the next 21 days, every day I meditate. Okay, and then down here, you're going to say the day that you started, August 26th. Okay, so what's today? Today is Thursday. So we go Thursday, Friday. I'm telling you, you're going to fall off. You're going to fail. It's all a part of the process. You have to be okay with it. So let's say 3 days goes by. You fall off. You get a wet napkin, wipe it off, and you say, you know what? I'm going to start again. Right? Whatever day it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the roots, right? Like this is the foundation. Days 1 through 9, that's where you're kind of you're building a foundation. So when you finally get to day 9, it might take you a week, it might take you 2 weeks, it might take you, there's 21s that I worked on for longer than half a year. I'm not even joking. But the thing is, like we talked about before, not giving up. So once you get to day 9, now you start getting into the trunk of the tree, and then from there you start getting into the branches and you start flowing. And around here, day 15, 16, 17, that's where you're gonna feel that 21s effect. And that was what I was talking about before, when you change the way that you would normally live and you do something different and you say like, wow, like I would not normally do that, but because I'm so invested in this and I want to build this habit, I'm going to make it happen. So that's when you commit, right? And then you keep flowing, and by the time you get to day 21, now you've created a habit, right? So it's really important. You decide what it is that you want, you commit to it. You're gonna fail. Just know you're gonna fail, and just you be okay with it. And once you're okay with it, it makes things a lot easier. So you decide, you commit, you get to 21 days, and then you succeed. But just because you've done 21 days, it doesn't mean it's all over from there. Now you've built it, so now you have to maintain it. And Stur's gonna talk to you a little bit about maintaining it.
Yeah, okay, and that was an amazing job explaining the 21s, and you know the term he kept using that stuck with me, and I just remembered a quote that I'm going to share with you guys, is commitment. And commitment, right, is getting started. So there's a quote that says, without commitment, you'll never get started, but more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. And that's by Denzel Washington. Shout out to Denzel. But so now you've done that. You've built that habit. Congrats. And let's, for this sake, say that the habit you were building to start was writing. I'm going to use that because I was a writer, and it was actually my first habit that I built. So once you get to 21 days, excellent. Like Blanca said, now we have the second board, the high performance matrix. And this is to help you sustain or maintain the habits that you have built or are going to start building. And so in the first column here, like let's say I'll write in it, just give me 1 second. Writing, right? And let's say, so the first column here, you guys can see it on the screen, but the first column says goal, and that's what we would put in for how many times do we actually want to accomplish this now. So remember, we were doing it every single day for 21 days, but let's say at this point, I don't need to do it every single day. I want it to be part of my routine, but not every day. So what we normally suggest is to put 4 on that slot, the number 4. Reason being is there's 7 days in the week. We want you to attempt to win the week, and by winning the week, by accomplishing 4 tasks in the week, you will win the week.
Okay, so a lot of people are gonna want to put 7.
Yes.
I want to do it every day. Why should they not put 7?
Well, first of all, you're not. You want to be able to use this as something that that's going to give you confidence. If you have 7 on there and you're not hitting 7, it's going to demotivate you because you're not hitting that number. So remember, we said set the bar low and start low. So that way, let's say you put 3 or whatever and work your way up, it's better. It's better, and it's going to give you more confidence to say like, wow, I did it. You know, I accomplished it this week. Setting the bar low. So now as we move on, you see the days of the week, and then at the very end, there's another column that shows you the total. So that comes into play when, let's say you have, you know, at the very bottom, I'm just gonna, actually, I'll let you guys see it here. At the very bottom, there's 5 boxes. On the screen, there's only 4, but that represents the extra weekend in the month. And here, what you're going to do is calculate. So week 1, let's say you got 3 days, 3 tasks. And the following week now, you're going to use that to measure what score you had week 1 so that you can either meet it or surpass it. And that's the way you're going to calculate your growth throughout the month, throughout the weeks and the month. And like it says at the bottom, growth is proven in the numbers. So this is what you want to use to measure yourself. You see this all the time in businesses and stuff. It's all about how do we measure up to ourselves so that we can, progress or do better moving forward. This is the same thing for ourselves. We need to be able to measure it. And it's fun. It's nice to see yourself progress. It's like, when you're watching the loading bar on, I don't know, something you're ordering online, for example, and it just shows you the next steps. That's what this is for your life. So you get to see how many actionable steps you took for yourself. And sometimes you'll see like 12 or 15 actions. And that's cool to look at the end of the week and be like, oh, wow, I took 15 actions towards one of my goals by doing these habits. And so together, once you have the 21s and the HPM, it allows you to have that formula. I think Jamie was asking the question about how we track it, and this becomes your visual tracker and your system for building habits. So I think maybe we'll ask questions before we get to the final part.
Is there any questions so far?
No, none related to the.
No? Okay, well, I'm sure you're gonna have some questions after this next part. Okay, so we've showed you kind of what we do with our trackers, with our boards, how we've been able to build habits, how our clients are able to build habits, and basically what habits will do for you and how they're gonna help you improve your life. But now it's time to take the next step. So we have here a list of all different habits that you can work on, and maybe you have something else that's not even on this list, and that's fine. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about, because a lot of times we get in a huge rush, but I want you to think about, like, you've been alive for a very long time, and we were hoping to live for a lot longer. So a lot of times we'll be like, okay, I want to build a habit, and I want to build it right now, and I want to have it installed right now. But that's not the best way to look at it, because if you don't get it right now, you're going to be down on yourself. You're going to be talking bad to yourself, and you're not really going to be able to make it happen. Mm-hmm. So what we like to tell people is look at your life and imagine a 1 year from now. Today is August 26, 2021. Let's think about August 26, 2022. Okay. Imagine you added 5 new habits to your life, just 5, right? That's 1 habit every 2 months, and even a little bit of leeway after that too. But that's something that's very doable. And when you break it down and you look towards the future instead of just looking right now, it makes it a lot easier. So what if you added 5 new habits? What if you even added 3 new habits, 2 new habits? Even, I promise you, even if you just add 1 new habit, it's gonna help improve your life. So we have easy work. The easy work is it's very short, right? And we told you that it's best to stay under 10 minutes. 2 minutes is even better. Check off the 21s board. So many people have said, oh, check off the 21s board. That's so easy. Okay, do it. Let's see how easy it is, right? But it's gonna help you build the habit of, hey, let me go to my board. And when you can get good at that, whatever your next one is, it's gonna be a lot easier. But you can maybe decide on, hey, these are the 5 that I want to add over a year. What is the easiest one? That's the one that you should start with.
Yeah. So I think maybe before there is something I want to share if we're allowed for any more time. Nadia?
So since we started late, we have about 10 to 15 left.
Oh, that's more than enough. Yeah, we won't even need that much. I do want to share something before we close, but actually stay here for a second. Sorry. So maybe we'll just show you guys our socials. So you guys can find us here if you want to chat with us further. We have our handles here, but I'm sure even on social media, you guys were looking at where you can find us. But for everybody, we just showed you guys the tools. We want to be able to you guys to actually have access to them, and so we're giving you guys a discount code for both products. 50% off. The code we'll write it in the chat. Actually, maybe I'll write it in the chat afterwards, but it's just CARY CG, all capitals, CARY CG, CARYCG. For anybody that's attending this who's registered, you will have 50% off both of those products. And then any questions and stuff afterwards, just communicate us with on these socials. So what I'm going to do now, if you guys will allow, I had a short piece. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hey everyone, now I can see you guys again. Well, you guys, no faces. I don't see any faces, but that's okay. I'm going to, you guys will allow me, I'm going to share a piece that I wrote. It's been a little while now, actually, almost 6 months. But I think it's first of all, thank you guys for being with us. I see some familiar faces. What up, Teddy? I see you at the Ferris wheel. Yes. So first of all, thank you guys. And maybe now, before I'm going to read this, and then we'll open it up to any questions that we may have missed or any comments. But I wanted to share this in kind of just going with the theme of growth, obviously, but also, you know, in light of a lot of things that have happened over the last year, close ones we've lost, just remembering to be here, but to continue the process of growing and not letting that hold you back. And I know it's tough. I know it's heavy, but hopefully by reading this to you guys, something will spark in it to just give you that energy and that push to continue. So the title of this piece, and forgive me if I'm kind of not looking right at the screen, I'm reading this, but it's titled Get With The Program. And it was actually inspired by a conversation I had with a dear friend, a soul sister of mine who is back in Kigali right now. Her name is Rita. And we just had a conversation, and then this sparked me writing this piece. So here it is. She held space and time. The whole experience felt like a rhyme. Effortless, yet the effort made it flow. Growth talks without the pressure to grow. Slow process is better than no process. Peace of mind breeds a mind that aches less, one without strife. It's best we keep it moving. I was told that movement is life. Environment is key. What you believe is oftentimes what you see, not only through the physical lens that nature shares. Deep within, our hearts speak volumes. Each pump reflects how much nature cares. Choices are up for grabs. We must consistently make the appropriate decisions. Mistakes are rehearsed through life. We must take action with absolute precision. Another reminder that slow is better than no, so long as we condition ourselves to know that ultimately the show goes on. And so let us continue to grow. Get with the program.
Yes, yes. Slow is better than no.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, like I said, that was a piece that really meant a lot to me, and I felt like it'd be nice to share it with you guys before we finish. So now, if there are any other questions popping in the chat, we'd be happy to take them on. And remember that discount code that I mentioned, CARY CG, I'll write it in the group right now, actually. Oh, it's in there. Amazing, Nadia. Thank you. So yeah, any questions? Again, thank you guys for spending an hour or so of your time on a Thursday night in the summer. We appreciate it. It means a lot, and hopefully, you know, you guys take something away from this to help you create happiness in your life.
I got a question for you guys.
Oh, okay.
I hope you've been enjoying it. Thank you so much for coming on. But I said you got to decide, you got to commit, and then you got to succeed. Mm-hmm. Step number one is to decide. Everybody's probably got like something that they wanted to work on, a habit that they wanted to try to build for a long time. So if you could please share, that would be amazing. You know,
because this will add to the commitment. Share it either in the group, share it with us, share it with someone you care or love about that you know will hold you accountable. Oh, I see Charity here. Hey, Charity.
Hey, Charity.
Charity's been a huge influence for me. So, and there she is. Yeah, good. Gratitude journal daily. Okay, Jamie, that's huge. Gratitude is something we didn't talk about a lot today, by the way. And I want to say one thing on it. It's, you know, as humans, we want more and more and more. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we tend to forget what we already have. So remember that. I feel like remembering that feels, you know, it's good. It's good to know that we have what we already have, and sometimes we get lost in what we want next or doing more. And so gratitude is huge. I think that's a great idea for one. Charity said, great advice from you both. Thank you, Charity. Appreciate it.
Has anybody else decided?
Yeah.
If no one else will share, I would love to practice meditation daily.
Okay.
Yes.
So a tip for you, start slow and pick a time, either, if it's going to be in the morning, if it's going to be after work, or if it's going to be before bed, and try your best to stick to that. So having that spot.
And if you've never done it before, there's some apps that help guided. I use an app. It's called Calm. I like it a lot. There's also one called Insight Timer. That one is free. There's another one called Headspace that has the moderator is from the UK. But yeah, you can find all of them on the App Store. But those help a lot too.
And another thing to add, sorry, our podcast. So we have over 170 episodes that you guys can listen to. A lot of the content, a lot of the different topics surrounding personal growth that we've covered. There is one on meditation, actually, Nadia. So I'll make sure to share that with you in particular. But yeah, make sure to check it out. We're on all platforms. It's just the Continual Growth Podcast, simply put. Yeah, so check us out there, and you'll be able to get some more. I think we got some more people. Drawing 3 times a week. I'm not sure who that's coming from. Is that you, Kaisa, or is that? Anyways, either way, okay, good. So that's an amazing one, and I like that you're not trying to do it every single day, because yeah. Setting the bar low. Okay, who else?
Barbara, meditation, reading, learning something new, less social media. Okay, so this is really good. I would say pick just one, right? If you try and do too many, it's destined for failure. But pick just one.
We've been there.
Pick one, start small, and those are good. Imagine if you have all those 5 and you add all those 5 over the next year. But I would say just pick one and try to make it a strong habit over the next month or 2.
Yeah, and maybe to help you, because you got good ones. I would say look at your life, look at your goals. Which one of these habits are going to help you work towards achieving that right now, and maybe that'll help you narrow down which one you start with. And then Teddy, that's my man, Teddy, writing. Okay, I want to see some writing from you. All right, I'm going to hold you to that.
And a tip for that also is just write one page. If you just write one page every day, like you just write a page, get to the bottom, done. I mean, if you want to do more, go ahead and do more. But I would say just start out with just one page. It will take you about 10 minutes. And if you're doing that every day, it will grow into something incredible. Because I never used to write. I told you guys I was a terrible student. And now every single day, almost every day, I'm writing a page.
Yeah. And then drinking my water. Yeah. Everybody needs to do that, especially in this heat. That's a good one. That's a great one. And that's okay, I shouldn't say it's a simple one. It's a good one to start with, though, because, it can be done very quickly. If it's something like you want to at least drink a glass of water right when you wake up or something, that could be a quick habit to start with. So yeah, I think that's good. I think that's everybody. We could do this all day. Obviously, we're again so excited that we were able to do this for this platform, and everybody that came out. Again, thank you so much for your time. I think we'll close it at that. Again, you have our social, so if you have any further questions from what you heard today, or just even beyond that, we're happy to help.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on. It was amazing to share, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If you can let us know like how your habits are going, if you need tips, this is what we do all day, every day. So we've been working on it for years, so we have lots of tips to give. But always, feel free to reach out. We want to hear like how you're doing.
Yeah, and one last thing I forgot to say, I should have said, a big shout out again to CARY Toronto for, you guys put me as the Rundin of the month. I never would have even thought of that at all. Like, honestly, it means a lot to me. I shared it with all my friends and family and got some amazing, reception from it. So it made me feel so good. I appreciate it. And we're so happy to do more work for this community anytime that we can. So we're here and we're accessible. So thank y'all.
Thank you once again. We cannot thank you enough for this presentation. I personally liked how laid back it was, the fact that we could all ask questions, the fact that a lot of us related and felt encouraged by it. instead of attacked. So thank you very much.
I'm happy we were able to balance that out.
Yes, I just want to encourage all of us, and I loved what you said in particular. If you can take something, if you could forget everything and take away one thing, what you said about slow is better than no. You know, instead of like giving up completely, just go as slow as you can. Blanca said it, 2 minutes a day is all you need. And yeah, I just want to encourage all of us. We are here. CARY Toronto is here as your resource. Continual Growth is here as your resource. And we will highlight them in our stories where you can find them if you have questions, if you want to access more of their products. So thank you very much. And one of my personal things to live by is life can only be lived two ways, forward and upward. So this is what we're doing, you know, forget the times you woke up 5 minutes before work, just get into it, okay? So I want to encourage all of us to keep up and have a great evening. Thank you so much for the 1 hour you just gave us.
No problem. Thank you.